Alright folks, time for a little more Module 1 problem solving practice. Please make sure you've got your name and number in the upper right hand corner. For our title again, we're just going to go ahead and put Module 1 Notes. Module 1 Notes. Extra practice. Because that's what it is. Okay. Extra practice. Just like on previous extra practice problems, I'm going to go ahead and read a problem to you. You don't have to write the entire thing down, but, well, you have to write down everything I put on the paper. You don't have to write down every single thing I say. Okay. So today we're going to talk about a student named Jen. And Jen's pedometer, and a pedometer is just something that measures how many steps you take. Jen's pedometer says that she walked 2 549 thousandths miles. Okay. Now, she went ahead and rounded this to about 3. Jen says it's, IT', it is. Jen says it's about 3 miles. Now, she's feeling pretty good about that. Her brother, on the other hand, brother says it's about 2 5/10, 2.5 miles. Now, Jen's feeling pretty good because she feels like she walked 3 miles. Brother says, no, you didn't. She only walked 2.5 miles. They start arguing about it, like brothers and sisters have a tendency to do. Now, while they're arguing about it, Mom says they're both correct. Mom says they're both right. Mom says they're both right. How is that possible? How can this be true? How can this be true? How can this be true? Take a look. I'm going to slide this back down so we can see it. Take a look at the original, actual, exact distance. And I'll go ahead and put that in parentheses. This is the exact distance that she walked, the true number. Jen says that's about 3 miles. Brother says it's about 2.5, 2 5/10 miles. Mom says they're both right. How is that possible? Go ahead and pause your video. Write out your answer. How can that be true? How can Mom be right? Okay. Hopefully you paused your video. Welcome back. How can this be true? How can they both be correct? Well, Jen and brother said about. That means Jen and brother both rounded. Jen and her brother just rounded differently. So Jen took a look at her number, 2 549 thousandths, and she rounded that to the nearest whole number. I was a little ahead of myself. I was looking next door already. She rounded to the nearest whole number. She looked next door. It was 5 or more, so the 2 got to soar. 3 point, everything else just becomes a 0 after that. 0, 0, 0. Everything on the right becomes a 0. So that's where Jen is getting her about 3 miles from. Now, brother, on the other hand, bro, did it a little differently. Started with the same number, but decided instead to round to the nearest tenth. When brother looked next door at the 4, looked at there, 5 did not get to soar. 5 is going to rest. 4 or less, let it rest. So everything on the left stays the same, decimal stays the same, In this case, the 5 is resting, so it stays the same. And then the 4 and the 9 become zeros. That's why his number is 2.5, 2 5/10. Again, we can just drop those zeros like we did over here. Technically, they're both correct. Both of those numbers are correct ways to round, which is why you have to be very careful with rounding, because there are multiple ways to do it. You have to pay attention to what the test, what your teacher asks you to do. Now, if I had to ask you which of these is more accurate, which of these is a stronger estimate, a stronger rounded number, let me say it that way, a stronger rounded number, this one's probably a little closer to the real deal. But they're both technically correct. Alright, we'll go ahead and stop here. I will give you this challenge, though. Jen rounded to the nearest 1, the nearest whole number. Brother rounded to the nearest 10th. How would this look different if you rounded it to the nearest 100th? What would you get if you rounded to the nearest 100th? Think about that, play with that. If you have any questions, let me know during class. Until then, I will see you next time.